you wonderful people of the internet. Today we are going to read, I am going to read, you can listen if you'd like to. I'm going to read another one of my fanfictions to you, a short story. If you're new to the channel, we are doing 2 videos this week because it's my birthday week. Boop boop. This day, the first time on this channel, we're doing a Baldur's Gate 3 one. And it's focused completely on Astarion and how he would cheap. That was a loud noise on my end. I don't think you can hear it, but it was on my computer. I'm getting distracted already. I'm having a very good evening, very lovely evening. It's raining, I love that. But how are you doing? It would be awkward if you didn't say anything now and just laid there or sat there, which is completely fine. It's awkward on my end, but that's okay. Just know that you're not alone in this world, even if it feels like that sometimes. Maybe that's why you clicked on an Astarion video. That might be it. Very exciting, by the way. If everything goes to plan, I'm going to meet Neil Newben, the voice actor, as you're probably well aware, of Astarion, in May, in Utrecht, at Comic Con, here in the Netherlands. Is it in Utrecht? No, it's the one in North Brabant. I'm sorry, the other one is later, yeah. I'm also going to meet Tim Downey for the second time. But Neil Newben for the first time. Very excited, very scared, and I'm probably going to be a little clam when I meet him. But that's exciting too, isn't it? I'm just happy to be there that day, you know? But on to the story. It's chapter 4, and because for some reason I decided to start with chapter 4 of my fanfiction on my first Baldur's Gate 3 video here on this channel. You know, makes sense. The summary. What happens if Astarion sees himself for the first time in over 200 years while partaking in the selfsame trial at Shar's temple? What if he doesn't recognize himself at first? Let's get started. Astarion didn't understand at first. Of course he had seen the silhouettes as he had snuck around the back. He hadn't paid attention to their forms. They were enemies, pawns that were in their way. That was all they were. When the fight started, that was all he could think about. Destroying the newest roadblock, survive another day. And lately, it had started to feel like there was a slim chance he could have more than that. What would I do all day long, though? Follow you around? Have you dragged me into more life-threatening adventures? Astarion scoffed. He was seated against the base of a tree, his arms crossed. His right knee was up higher as he tried to retain some form of casualty despite the weight of their conversation. Come with me, after this adventure ends. Dev had said it so casually, as if it didn't make him feel wanted or needed for the first time in his long life. Dev used a knife to continue whittling at a piece of wood. Exist. That simple sentence had managed to make it all feel lighter, to make him feel like maybe, just maybe, there was a place for him in this world, a place where he belonged. Existing sounds nice, he whispered. That was a few days ago. Only a few words were spoken between them, but it was enough to rock how he viewed himself. Tev had been doing that a lot. Ever since they met, there was one person who kept pushing him to be someone he had thought long dead, a person with a soul. It was almost laughable. The very notion was absurd. And yet, what if he could exist, live, be happy? Maybe he would get a chance to after they fought their way through yet another hell. I must say, Shadow, your fellow Sharons are not exactly welcoming, he said in his usual sarcastic manner. Shadow-Eye's response was snarky at best. This is a test of my Lady Shar, Astarion. How many times should I tell you these tests are an honor? He didn't listen to the rest. Astarion rolled his eyes and kept the fight up. There were 4 of their enemies and 4 of them. As a rogue, he was used to operating in the shadows. The Sharon temple was no different than operating in the dead of night at Baldur's Gate, except that this time there was a stunning opponent fighting against him, a one-on-one. He wasn't one to dish out heartfelt compliments. If he used them, those compliments were given to seduce someone, to lure them into a carefully crafted trap of which he didn't know the ending. This stranger, however, they deserved 1 or 2 real compliments. The man's jaw-length silver hair curled around his pointy ears. A fellow elf, Astarion mumbled. He smirked. This might get interesting. What was most vexing were the man's red eyes and pale complexion. Astarion's eyes narrowed in suspicion. What's another spawn doing down here? He murmured. Did Cassador send you to take me back? All of a sudden, this fight became more important to him. He didn't understand how his old master knew that he would enter this abandoned Sharon temple. The devil, Astarion thought to himself. That was the only plausible explanation. Raphael had decided to stab him in the back. In truth, he wasn't surprised. He had learned his lesson centuries ago. And still, after meeting death, he had allowed himself to be more vulnerable, to show that damned devil his scars, a secret so intimate he had only ever been forced to show them to his victims, and had willingly shown them to death before having to be humiliated in front of the devil and the entire inn, all in search of an answer. He had expected the turn of events, especially with a devil like Raphael. It was soon, though. He would admit that. They had only killed Jurgir that morning. He supposed that was the reason. They had cleared out the devil's problem. What use did he have for them now? Astarion dodged an attack of his enemy. Like himself, this man also carried a set of twin daggers. He used them with precision. His skills were admirable. Astarion jumped backwards, landing on his feet like a cat. There was some considerable distance between him and his opponent. He gave himself the luxury of a quick look around. From down below he saw an ice knife flinging through the air. The wizard's not having a good time then, Astarion said with a smirk. His eyes quickly darted back to the shadow that was his opponent. He was done playing games. Everyone had their weak points. It was just a tad annoying that his opponent seemed to possess the same skills as him. They threw themselves at each other, their daggers banging together. That was almost impressive, Astarion said. The man and him stood eye to eye. From up close he could see the small smile lines hidden in the shadows of the man's face. A chill ran down his spine. He did not know why. Pushing back harshly, he managed to throw his opponent off balance. Astarion's eyes darted down to the man's shoes. They were embroidered leather shoes. Wait a minute. that embroiderment. His back collided with that of Shadowheart. Good seeing you here. Astarion peered back over her shoulder with a grin. It quickly fell when he saw who she was fighting. She held a sword against another Shadowheart's neck. Hold on. Do you have a twin sister you never told us about, or did you forget you guessed that mirror image again? He made no movement to stop her or her clone. Shadowheart scoffed. You didn't listen to the instructions, did you? My Lady Shaw. Astarion yawned. Don't start again. You're losing me already. Show some respect. Shadowheart sliced through the other Shadowheart's neck without a second thought. Astarion stood ready with his daggers raised, while also keeping a side-eye out for his earlier opponent. He narrowed his eyes. Right, now that we have that little song and dance over, why don't you tell me who you really are? She gave him a harsh glare. Sometimes I wonder why we keep you with us, Shadowheart said. She casually wiped her sword clean. I would have killed you already if I wanted to. Camping together has given me plenty of opportunities, has it not? That's true. Astarion looked her up and down. How do I know you are the right version of Shadowheart? That could be my companion lying dead on the ground. She didn't even try to hide her disdain. If you had stayed around to listen, to actually pay attention for once, you would have heard me read the instructions of this trial, the self-same trial. We are our own worst enemies. We are fighting ourselves, Astarion, and those copies of us don't talk. They are simply... The rest of her words were lost to the void. Astarion's body froze. His lips parted. We are fighting ourselves. That meant... He regained control over his mind just in time to get out of his own way, or his copy's way. His mind was scrambled. He turned around on his heels, observing himself. This is what I look like? He asked quietly. Shadowheart started to chant a cantrip. His hand shot up, signaling for her to stop. Don't. Let me. What are you talking about? She asked, sounding thoroughly confused. We need to clear this trial as soon as we can. We have to get down to my Lady Shaw's last test as far as we... Just let me. Astarion's voice trembled. Something about it was enough to convince Shadowheart to back off. She shot him one last look before she went to look for Tav and Gale. He made no real effort to attack. Instead, he jumped around, touching and keeping his distance. Their fight had turned into a song and dance. It was almost as if they had practiced this 1,000,000 times. Like they were putting on a show. Finally, he understood what Tav meant about his laugh lines. They were definitely there. Noticeable. And his hair actually curled around his ears. He liked it. He was handsome, just like he thought he was. His clothes fit him like a glove. After sewing and repairing his clothes quite a few times on the road, he knew where he hit the spots that showed how well worn his clothes were. He would have to change them up soon. Did he always have that stoic, emotionless look in his eyes? He wasn't even present, was he? He knew that he wasn't. After all, he knew his mind better than anybody else. Except for Tav. He pushed the thought away. Point was, he had no idea it was that visible. A moment of fragility threatened to sweep him away. His double used that to strike at him. Astarion got struck on his chest, right above his heart. he hissed, pressing his fingers against the new wound. Missed, he whispered. Not a true double then. Always go in for the kill. From up above, Gil and Tev finally managed to defeat their own doppelgangers with Shadowheart's help. The wizard held his hands in a triangle, aiming it down at what they thought to be the vampire spawn's double, but Tev stopped him. He needs time to do this on his own. I know, Gil said, lowering his hands. He pulled his hands but didn't manage to look away. This is the closest thing to a mirror he's ever had, Shadowheart said. A hint of sympathy dripped in, unwanted but present anyway. Since he was stoned, said quietly. Come on, stay vigilant, but none of us step in until he asks for help. Not until he asks. The other two nodded. They sat there for a while, until Astarion dealt a killing blow. He didn't immediately leave. The three of them turned away to preserve his privacy when they saw him getting to his knees and cradling his fallen double. His touch was surprisingly gentle as he brushed the curls from his double's face. He sat there in silence, surrounded by the quiet of the damp temple. The moment didn't last long. His double drifted apart into black particles. Its face was the last to go. A single teardrop fell onto its cheek. The tear rolled down the side of its face, landing on the stones as the last particles disappeared into nothingness. Gil was the first to look up when they heard him approach. Astarion. The vampire spawn walked past them. Let's not waste more time. We have 1 or 2 more tests to beat, don't we? The attempt to sound like his flippant self wasn't successful. Shadowheart and Gale looked at Tev. Yes, we do, Tev said. They fell into step behind him. It wasn't until they descended the stairs to the lower floor that Astarion held back enough to allow Tev to catch up to him. Tonight at the camp, he said in a raspy voice. Of course, Tev said. You can always have a drink, you know that. Astarion nodded. His stare was fixed on something in the distance. That and maybe something else. I might. His voice caught at the back of his throat. Tev put a hand on his shoulder. Always. You're not alone. Not anymore. He put a cold hand on top of Tev's. Not anymore. And that is the end of this story. It has been explored in many fanfictions, I would assume. But it's such a good premises, isn't it? I think that's one of the few little details that they missed in Baldur's Gate. Like, that game is so full, jam-packed with details, and they have thought of so much. You can't think of everything, because the sky would be limitless. But this would have been so good. Anyway, I hope you have a very good life. And maybe I will see you in another video, and if I don't, it's all the same, then I'm still glad I got to meet you today. Have a very lovely life and a very good night. And if you don't, then I'm still going to be here for you. Either way. Goodbye. Can you guess the next story if I make this sound?